like it's after work and you realize you're interrupting people's dinner, or you're waking up the baby, or you're making the dog go crazy, and they come to the door and they're skeptical of you immediately because they think you're trying to sell them something or convert them. And when you say, I'm running for city council or I'm running for mayor, you can see a change in their face. And it's
too many times as entrepreneurs ignore what's happening in the political world because we don't want to get dragged down into the mess. But more today than ever before, we need to have a voice. Otherwise, we're going to be left behind. I started Lurn exactly for this reason. So starting today with Freedom Friday, let me be your voice. What's up, you crazy fighting entrepreneurs? Welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday. I'm so excited about today's episode because we're gonna have a lot of fun and we're gonna get a chance to see inside. All right, so we're gonna go inside. This episode is called A Day in the Life of a Mayor. So I'm really excited to have our mayor, Mayor Judd, of the greatest city in the country, if not the world.
Yeah, we like the world.
Yeah, the world. Gaithersburg, Maryland. This is where I have grown up most of my life. Went to Gaithersburg High School. Go Trojans. Mayor Judd, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks, Anik.
Man, I'm excited. I don't know what you do during the day, and I want to know what goes on. I see all. So I'm actually, it's funny because I added you as a friend on Facebook, and then you added me back. This is like a year plus ago, and I looked at my wife. And I'm like, look, I'm friends with the mayor now. Like, I'm going to tell him about all the potholes in the street and bother him every day. But I didn't. And
that is a dangerous social media for us, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure. But I do see, you're super active. So I got to say, you got a lot of energy because you post today we're meeting so-and-so to talk about this. Today we're meeting here. And I'm like, man, sounds like a lot of work. And then you told me something, Mayor, a year ago, which for me was a huge, I didn't know this. And I feel like a lot of our listeners have no idea really what goes into being a mayor. You said something, I remember this. This is maybe more than a year and a half ago when you first came to the facility. You were like, well, during my day job. And I'm like, I thought you're the mayor. What do you mean your day job? Turns out that you actually have to do two things. I mean, you have a proper business. You're an entrepreneur from what I remember.
That is correct.
And then you are a mayor. It sounds like a lot of work. So I'm excited. I would just love to hear your story. I mean, I don't know, how did you come to becoming a mayor and your background, please?
It was not like a master plan. I got to say, when I was growing up, I didn't say, I want to become a mayor and everything has come into place. It actually, I got involved in local public affairs because, like most people, I was pissed off about an issue.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say?
Oh, yeah, go for it. You can say whatever you want. You're the mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. I guess I get to make the rules here.
Yes.
So this was back in 2001. The city was entertaining a proposal for a new development that was going to make life worse on some very overcrowded schools where my kids were going. And so I organized a group of people from the neighborhood and from the PTAs to come every week to the city council meetings and testify against this project. And I was really impressed by how the mayor and the council at the time listened to us, and we won the issue. They voted down the project,
wow.
But I sort of got bit by the bug of how this is how government should work. Yeah. Constituents are listened to, and there's a dialogue between leaders and the people that they represent. It was really good. And a few years later, I decided to run for city council. In 2005, I ran for the first time. I lost by 44 votes. Ooh. It was a close one. It was a great experience. Yes, I would have preferred to have won, but I had enough of a good experience, and I was encouraged by the people I met along the way that I ran again in 2007, and I won. So I was on the city council for 7 years. I would have served with our former mayor till the end of time because he's a great guy, Sidney Katz. But he ran for higher office.
I didn't know Sidney was a mayor.
Yes, he was the mayor of Gaithersburg for 16 years, and then decided to run for Montgomery County Council. So when he won that seat, initially my colleagues on the city council appointed me to take his place as mayor, and then I've had to run a couple times to keep the job.
So what year did you become mayor?
The end of 2014.
The end of 2014.
Yeah, so I'm in my 5th year.
So you were in public service for 9 years before you became mayor.
7 years. So
7 years.
so now I'm in my 12th year of being in elected office.
Wow.
And I'd been involved in local affairs for like 5 years before that.
Wow. So that I've got so many questions. So when you said 44 votes that you lost by, how many total votes would that be? I'm sorry, I don't mean to like poke.
I don't remember. It was somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 votes. So
it's like less than 1% by far.
It was a small number.
Yeah.
Now, see, you may. I think in Gaithersburg's not unique in that for the very hyper local elections, the turnout is pretty low. Okay. So we get at that time we were getting like between 10 and 15%.
Okay.
Of registered voters would actually vote in local elections.
Now, did you demand a revote?
I did not. I didn't want to be like a sore loser. You know, okay, you got me 44 votes.
Oh, man. But you came back and you won that. And that's the spirit of a fighting entrepreneur right there.
Exactly.
Right? I love it. Can I ask how much you won by the next time?
I won big the next time.
Oh, yeah?
I want to say it was 1,000 votes.
Were you up against the same person?
No, I wasn't. In 2007, there were 3 open seats, and there were 7 people running for them.
Okay.
So all I had to do was be in the top 3. I was in that election. I was the number 2 vote getter.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. All right. So 2014, you became mayor of this amazing city.
Yes.
So before we go into what it feels and looks like, I have so many questions. Like, how do you become a mayor? What's the election process look like? And then your day to day. I just got to ask this: Are you gonna run for higher office someday soon?
I don't think that I am.
No?
I love this level.
Governor, come on, come on. Then I can say I know the governor. That would be awesome.
You know, that's true. Well, I'll think about it now. I do want to make you happy, Anik.
So if he becomes governor, I want everyone to know where it started. It started right here at the Fighting Entrepreneur.
And this is where the fundraising campaign should start too. So everyone watching this, just keep that in mind.
I love that. That was good. I like that. Went straight. I like that. All right, awesome. You got my commitment on that one.
Awesome.
All right. So is being a mayor is part-time? Because you have kind of another job, you said. So talk to me about that.
Officially, it is a part-time job. Now, I would say there's a difference between the official responsibilities and what the community expectations are.
Okay.
So it really, I would say I end
dangerous.
up putting about 30 hours a week into being mayor.
Wow.
And if it felt like work, just like this podcast, if this podcast felt like work for you, and I know you put so much time into it to put out these great episodes. Yeah. It'd be hard to do if it felt like work, but really most of it feels like fun. There are occasions where people are upset and we run into some tough issues, but mostly being mayor is a great job. And so the 30 hours a week doesn't feel like work. It feels like a wonderful thing to do. Oh,
that's amazing. So is this common amongst most cities in the country that a mayor has, kind of 2 jobs?
Yes, it's common for smaller cities. Okay. And now Gaithersburg it's the 3rd largest city in Maryland. Maryland's a state with a lot of small cities.
What are the largest 2?
Baltimore and Frederick, and then Gaithersburg, and then Rockville. Rockville's very close.
Baltimore and Frederick. Gaithersburg's number 1. We can just delete those 2.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that.
All right, so interesting. So I guess if you're mayor of New York City, that's a full-time
job.
Okay.
DC, Baltimore, those are full-time jobs.
Full-time. So let's stay out. Let's go to New York now. I don't know. Is Long Island a city?
Long Island's a borough.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Right?
Okay. So, but I mean, like,
I don't know what Long Island is.
So I don't even know why we're talking about
There's a bunch of cities on Long Island.
So, but if you're outside the main city, you might be smaller cities. Those would then, again, you'd go back to the whole, like, the part-time structure. So it's really the main cities that have full-time.
Right. Tends to be the bigger cities. I think Frederick's mayor is full-time, but it's sort of an exception that that's the case.
Okay. Got it. I did not realize Frederick was that big of a city. Honestly,
Frederick, we're not far away. Okay. Gaithersburg's got 70,000. Frederick has just a little bit more than that. So
we just need to do some incentive programs, get some of them over here, and we could take that.
Telling you, those of you guys watching who don't already live in Gaithersburg, you should.
If you live anywhere else in the world, you move to Gaithersburg.
Exactly.
Okay, so what is your daytime job?
So I own and operate a small business called Web Mobile Image, and we design, develop, host custom, beautiful, intuitive, mobile-friendly websites. That is what we do.
Cool.
Yes, we do search engine
not know that.
optimization. We do a little bit of social media marketing. Don't do as much of the paid ads, the Google ads and the Facebook ads, as you guys do. But we're familiar with the skill set. We appreciate it.
How'd you fall into this line of business? Like, how did this start?
Well, I had another business. It was a direct mail business, and years ago, one of my former graphic designers who had left, and he came back one day and he says, I've done a lot of work on web development over the past few years, and I want to start a business. I really like how you run businesses, and I like working with you. Would you be interested? And so in 2012 we started it. The initial marketing pitch for our business was optimizing existing sites for mobile devices. However, and I think we were the first shop in the DC metro area to be exclusively using responsive design. Now, of course, everybody uses it. It's not even something you think about. But we were a little ahead of the curve. Our clients, their answer was, well, mobile's good, but we need hosting, and we want to do a whole new custom thing or add some functionality. So our scope of services grew immediately.
So were you always an entrepreneur, or did you at some point have a job and then move in to graduate into that?
I've pretty much always been an entrepreneur. The first business it was a family business that I bought, the mailing business I referred to before, the Elegant Envelope.
Ever have a lemonade stand?
I think I did. Yes, I did.
I did too, in Goshen.
I did. I grew up in Miami, so mine wasn't anywhere near here. You guys wouldn't have had my lemonade, but it would have been worth the trip. It was good lemonade.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's talk about. So that's really interesting in and of itself. It wasn't until you and I met that I realized that mayors are actually part-time in the smaller cities. What does a typical day look like? Walk me through, like, from the time you wake up to like how a typical day goes.
You wake up groggy, first of all, because you've been up late the night before at meetings and hearing from constituents, which you love doing. But I always say, like, the biggest secret to being able to be mayor, have a full-time job, have a family, have hobbies or whatever, it's less sleep and less exercise. So you wake up and you're tired every single time. I go to work. My work day, sometimes I get a few hours in revenue generating activities before they're interrupted by a ribbon cutting or something like that, which again, ribbon cuttings are great events because they represent sort of hope and optimism and investment in our city, and it's something we all love to do. Maybe get back to the office. Maybe I'll have a lunch meeting. Maybe I'll hear from some people who something's going right or something's going wrong in their neighborhood, and they need some assistance, or they want to give us some feedback, or something's going on at City Hall and I got to run over there. So it does actually help to be a small business owner because, the more flexibility, you need all kinds of flexibility.
I mean, you couldn't have a job, right? And a full-time job and then be mayor.
You'd have to have a really understanding boss.
Yeah, a super understanding. Yeah. Because to me, it already sounds, we're only at lunch, and it already sounds like you're really marrying the two. Because you might have a lunch meeting at your office, I guess. Somebody will invite someone into your office. Or would you always go out to have that? Usually
we go out. My office isn't a great venue, but, sometimes.
Awesome.
So then, the afternoon progresses much the same way. There might be meetings, or I might be in the office working on client stuff.
Okay.
On Monday evenings, we have the one thing you have to do that's beyond community expectation, but you have to do is be at the Monday night mayor and council meetings, because that's where we conduct the official business of the city. So 7:30 p.m. virtually every Monday night, we're doing either a regular meeting or a work session, and we're diving deep in topics and doing the business of the city.
Got it.
Those go till, I would say on average about 9:15, 9:30. Sometimes they go late. In Rockville, it's much worse. We always look at the Rockville mayor and council and say, well, at least we're not Rockville, because they're going till midnight each time.
Wow.
They go really late.
And with the mayor of Rockville, does she also, same thing, has kind of...
She is retired.
Oh, okay.
So for those of you who are entrepreneurs and considering making a run for office, I don't necessarily. You got to love it.
Yeah.
You really have to love it. Otherwise, I say, okay, wait till you're independently wealthy and then do it.
And then do it. Got it. All right. So it's a mirage of activities throughout the day, balancing your business and then kind of interweaving with mayor responsibilities.
Yes.
I want to get into like, what are some mayor responsibilities? You mentioned ribbon cutting. What are some other things that are, you as a mayor must do?
Well, again, it's more about when you say must. I focus on that word must.
Okay.
The must thing is the Monday night thing.
Okay.
Everything else is sort of community. I feel like I must, if a constituent has a request for a meeting, they have some issue they want to talk to, I feel like I must respond. I must grant them that meeting.
So I mean, for me, I was also very surprised how easy it was to get a hold of you. I honestly, I was like, he's the mayor, why would he reply? But you did. And is that pretty common experience as a mayor? You will pretty much,
I don't know if it's common everywhere.
Okay.
But
no, for here.
But for here, yes. Yeah. And I was taught I watched Sidney Katz do the job for years. And,
okay.
If you sent an email to Sidney Katz and had to wait, more than a half hour, that's for a response. That's crazy.
And that doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a business owner. It doesn't have to be someone of influence or,
No.
Counter to like what most people think out there is like, oh, well, I'm not a big donor, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. You're saying, hey, if you're a constituent, if you are a person who lives in this city, you email, I will respond. I will do
That
my
is
best.
correct.
That's amazing.
That's correct. Look, we say Gaithersburg is the greatest city in the world, and we say that without irony. I believe Gaithersburg is the greatest city in the world. And the reason why is because we make it that way.
Yeah.
The community is only as good as you make it.
Yeah.
So for those who are watching this, who are entrepreneurs, who working all day and don't give that much, maybe some of them don't give that much thought to their community around them.
Yeah.
I'll just say that, it's all our responsibility to keep things great around us.
So give me a range of the kinds of issues you might deal with. Give me the funny ones. Give me the serious ones.
Oh, my goodness.
Give me the range. Like, so, a meeting you have to take. Go.
Okay. We'll start with serious. Okay. So there's a group that just purchased part of Lake Forest Mall, and they're interested in working with the city and working with the other owners to try to get things together to redevelop Lake Forest Mall.
Yeah.
So that's a really serious thing, and I think it's my number one priority for the city is redevelopment of Lake Forest Mall.
What is happening to Lake Forest Mall? I know this means nothing to anyone else who's watching, but I am curious. I have just seen that mall just dwindle over the last 20 plus years.
It has. Well, here's the challenge. So it looks like it's one property, but it's actually 5 properties.
Okay.
There's the core mall with an owner, and then each of the anchor stores owns their piece of the property and part of the parking lot.
Okay.
And there's an agreement they all sign that says if any one of them wants to make a change, they got to get the permission of all the others. So what that means is it's been in stalemate for, as you say, a couple decades. Wow. It's just been in decline. And so what needs to happen is somebody needs to acquire every parcel and then come work with the city to redevelop it in the right way. So
my assumption is if those parties start to fight or have disagreements, is that when they come running to you? Is that an example?
It's possible.
Okay.
It's also possible they run to their lawyers, but
and then still come to you.
And then still come to us.
Yeah.
But in this case, someone recently, a new owner, purchased the core part of the mall and had let it be known to the city that they want to acquire the other pieces and want to work with us to ultimately redevelop. So that's a really serious issue.
Yeah.
I think some of the less serious stuff. We had a guy in the city who still lives in the city who raises chickens, and there's actually a law that allows people under certain circumstances to have backyard chickens in the city in single family homes where you have it detached. But not roosters, because roosters make a lot of noise and people use roosters for fighting and whatever. There's a whole thing with roosters. This guy moved into the city, and I guess he didn't pay attention to the fine print, and he brought roosters, and so for years, he'd come every Monday night to our meetings and testify about asking us to, or demanding that we allow roosters in the city. And we all thought he was very serious about it, and he got a little loony, actually. He brought in a box of bullets one night and started telling us what bullets do, and we're like, okay, this is getting a little out of hand.
How long ago was this? Because right now this was
late in 2017, so it was a little bit ago,
but still, I mean, not that long ago.
Yeah. That wasn't funny, but we did see the situation as a bit loony.
Yeah. I mean, so do you get the email? Like I joked about it before about the potholes or whatever. Like, is that something you'll see? You like people will be like, Mayor, you need to fix this pothole right now. Okay.
Yes. So that's why we're in it. And frankly, we like those emails because we can't be everywhere. We don't see where everything is.
So what happens? Okay. Again, I feel like a common constituent, if I come to you without having known you, I feel that when I send that email, this is what I think is receiving it on the other side, if I may. It's like stupid request and delete. But what's the process? What goes through? Like if I message you right now, there's something going on my road. What could if as long as their mayor is good, let's just set up this expectation that they have a good mayor. What happens on the other side?
Well, first we do say, that's a stupid request. But we say that to ourselves. I'm just kidding. I
don't blame you. I would too. Sometimes.
Well, here's the thing. As mayor, we understand the different departments, the different responsibilities of staff in the city. Yeah. And so if you were to come to me and say there's a pothole on my street, I would send a note to the director of public works and share your message and ask that they take a look and respond to you and copy me on the response.
Okay.
So there's a level of accountability and everybody feels like they've been listened to and served.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, you would reply pretty quickly to
yes.
me and CC the appropriate person. And so that's awesome.
100%. I do this because I love serving. Like the business, I've had 2 businesses. They're both service based. Yeah. I love service.
Wow. That's really, that is pretty cool. I mean, I don't know why it is. Well, probably just, I don't really know why it is. Cause I think I was never really let down by the city or the county in anything, but it's just like the underlying assumption is if I reach out to someone, no one's going to care. And just to be able to hear from a mayor, like, no, we respond and we read and we kind of
we care. We want people to feel like they're living in a special place, right? So, so anybody out there who's in Gaithersburg or around Gaithersburg or even traveling through Gaithersburg, we're glad to hear from you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are some of the key, there are so many layers of government, right? You've mentioned we have council, we have county council, city council, we have mayor, we have county executive, we have
the state level, the federal level.
State level, federal level. What does Mayor Judd get like? This is you. You get to own this. You get to say this is what's going to happen in the city. What are your key initiatives or key things that you own as a mayor?
Well,
and maybe not you personally.
Yeah, very little of it is.
I mean,
it's the mayor and council.
Okay,
like we're in it together.
Okay.
And I think our greatest achievements are collective achievements.
Okay.
What do we own? We own development decisions in the city of Gaithersburg. We own budgetary decisions in the city of Gaithersburg, service levels, and laws that are in the city of Gaithersburg. So, we're really proud that Gaithersburg is it's the 3rd largest city in Maryland, but we have, of all of Maryland's large cities, we're at the lowest property tax rate. We're really proud of the fact that we're able to deliver a lot in terms of services for a little in terms of tax money.
So like that tax rate, that's you and the council get to determine that?
Property tax rate, yes.
Got it, property tax rate. And so let's just play it out. I'm curious, are there veto powers there? Like if
the mayor has veto powers.
Okay, so if the council wants to propose something, you can say, sorry, don't agree. Can they do the same to you if you propose something?
Yes.
Okay.
The council has most of the power in our form of government. This doesn't necessarily, it's not always the case in every city, but in the city of Gaithersburg, our charter gives the council most of the power, and the mayor has the veto power. The mayor sets the agenda for the meetings. So if a council member has a agenda item that they want to come up, then they need to ask. They need to either they can ask me and I can put it on the agenda, or 3 votes, which would be a majority of the council, would get it on the agenda.
How many are on the council?
5.
5. Okay. Yeah. Is that pretty common in most cities, or that's population driven?
I think it varies.
Okay.
And ours is not population driven.
Okay.
It's been 5 members in one
Got it. So you talked about some legislation, some laws, budgetary.
Yeah.
There was one more thing.
Development. Yeah.
So zoning, is that a city level
Yes.
thing? Like, for example, like let's say Lake Forest Mall tomorrow, for some reason, I'm just picking on that because we were talking about it. If it just was like, okay, this business is shut, could you come in and say, we're going to zone this as residential now? We're going to bring in residential builders. And is that something that the mayor and the council does?
Yes.
Okay.
I maybe that's a little simplified for how the process would be.
Yeah, okay.
I actually had one of our residents say, you know what we should do is the city should purchase Lake Forest Mall, get rid of everything, and plant an actual forest there. It'd be the world's most expensive forest, but probably $100 million forest.
Are you serious? Wow.
But yes, the city has zoning power. In fact, last night we had a big vote on right across the street from Gaithersburg High School. There's going to be a new Wawa gas station. It's been the first one in Montgomery County.
I saw that. I put my vote in through the comments on Facebook.
Oh, did you?
I am in. Yeah, I responded. I'm like, I am totally in for the Wawa. So is that, by the way, is that going to be where right across from Gaithersburg High School was the little area that had actually burned down and then they rebuilt it?
It's
and then
next to
7-Eleven there.
It's going to be next to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got the zoning. I know I definitely oversimplified, but in assuming the budgets fit and it made sense, that is, you and the council can take the zones and put what you want where. What about budgetary? Is there a certain de facto budget that is already determined just because of the nature of the
well, it has to do with the assessments on properties.
Okay.
So we, each year we get an estimate of what's happening with the state. The state does the assessing of the property values, and then we have our tax rate, and so we run projections on what's going to come in.
Okay.
And then there are a few other sources of revenue from other governments, from other types of taxes. We put it all together. We figure out what we're working with in terms of money.
But a bulk of the city's money is from the residential
property taxes,
taxes
residential and commercial.
And commercial.
Yeah.
If you own the building, obviously. Okay.
Yes.
What does the state give us money? Does the county give us money?
In various ways, they do.
Okay.
Yeah. We get a share of people's income taxes. We don't have direct income taxing authority, but the county and the state. The state's collecting income taxes. Some of it goes to the county, and some of that portion that goes to the county comes to the city.
Okay. But the cities are mostly fending for themselves for a large portion of their budget with the property taxes.
Yeah, that's the
What's the
share.
ratio roughly? Is it like 70-30 or 80-20 if you had to guess?
Oh man, now you're trying my memory. Maybe I want to. I'm just. Don't quote me on this. Maybe 60% of our budget is property tax.
Yeah, no quote. That's,
of our revenue.
So it's still more than half.
It's at least it's a plurality.
Okay.
At least.
Got it. And so we watch TV and you'll see these meetings, these like the mayor council meeting. Do they get heated? Like you got people shouting, you got people climbing up on top of desks and doing stuff.
Hopefully not
no.
that.
Okay.
That's where I come in because as mayor I run the meetings. Okay. And so if somebody's getting out of hand, then
Do you have a gavel?
I have a gavel.
Oh man!
In fact, I have one in my car that I travel with just in case.
I was gonna say
I should have brought it here.
Does it give you this great sense of power to have a gavel?
It does.
Awesome.
Having a gavel is great. No one should underrate it.
Do you really have one in your car?
I do.
That's awesome.
I do.
You're just ready for any meeting with your gavel.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. For the record, I didn't purchase that gavel. It was given to me as sort of a gift, but I love having it.
I don't know why. I just love the fact that you have it in your car, ready to go.
Ready to go.
Moment's notice.
Boom.
So they can get heated.
They can.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of topics do people get the most heated about? Is it a zoning issue usually? Is it a budget issue?
Usually it's development.
Development.
And I would say it's people get upset. the immediate neighbors tend to get upset about anything that's going to change. So right now, we talked about the Wawa vote.
Yeah.
The immediate neighbors to where Wawa is going to be, the people who live behind that area on 355, were very strongly opposed to it. And some of them, I wouldn't say they got out of hand, but we had one lady who in the 2 meetings in a row sort of stood up in the middle of the meeting and started yelling her opinion about how the process should go. And
have they ever been to a Wawa? Their sandwiches are amazing.
They probably have been to a Wawa.
Oh, okay, they should. I would not be upset if you put one in the development.
Yeah,
down to bring a Wawa in. I would be very happy with it.
Yeah, there's another situation going on right now where MCPS wants to build with Montgomery County Public Schools wants to build a new elementary school on a piece of a park that we have in one of the residential neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And sort of we're finding that a lot of the sort of older people who have their kids are way past elementary school age, are really, really against it. And they go to all kinds of lengths to get us to try to not allow this.
So I found out, so this might be my lodging of a complaint. It's not really a complaint. I don't care. I found out recently because I live in. So I found out that they're developing that next area, that big batch of land.
Yes.
And so someone told me there's gonna be a high school there.
Yes.
And I was like, well, who decided that? I don't know how I feel about high school kids roaming around my house. So would there have been, if you go back in time, would there have been a meeting where you would have said, this is what we're thinking of doing, come and contest if you want?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, there were a number of public hearings.
Okay.
That issue with the set aside of land for the high school happened even before I was elected to
Oh, wow,
council.
that long ago. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was in 2005 and 2006 that they were dealing with the original approval in which they set aside 32 acres for a high school.
Wow. So does that increase property values usually? If you build something like that around the area, would that increase the property values? Or does that?
I don't know, because it's been so long since high school was built around us. I don't know high school for sure one way or another. I suspect that a new school increases property values. Yeah. In the case of an elementary school, it almost invariably increases property values.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't mind if there was an elementary school.
Yeah.
High school, I'm like, man, they're trouble.
It could be a great high school.
Maybe.
MCPS.
I went to Gaithersburg High School. I know what kind of trouble we can create as high schoolers. No, it's actually, this has been really cool. It's been fun to watch. Fun to hear from you, just kind of what goes on and how some of the decisions are made and what happens at the city level. And there's a lot of things here I learned that I never knew. If you don't mind, I want to ask you a couple of little tougher questions, just about our landscape and where we are. You've been around the politics long enough, so we don't get into the whole Democratic versus Republican thing. It's not about that, but generally speaking, like, how does that impact? So we got a big federal fight going on, right? And so right now we're talking impeachment. There's all this. People are just angry at one another. Like, does that bleed down to city level?
I love this question.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because it's going to help me illuminate what's so great about municipal government versus the higher levels.
Okay.
First off, in most municipal governments, including Gaithersburg, you don't run on a party ticket. Okay. Those are nonpartisan races. So even though I am a registered Democrat, we don't we don't have to declare that as on the ballot. I think there's a wide range.
Even as mayor, you don't have to say.
I don't have to. Now, when I go knock on doors to try to get votes, people ask me all the time, and I'll tell them what I am. But it doesn't. The old saying is, "There's no Democrat or Republican way to fill a pothole." Mm.
I like that.
We're here where the rubber meets the road, literally, and so at our level of government, our discussions are generally strictly about the issue and not about each other. We're not calling each other names. I feel like Gaithersburg in particular has a great tradition of being able to disagree without being disagreeable. There could be 4-1, 3-2 votes, and then we could go out for a beer after the meeting and be just fine.
That's the way it should be, right?
It is the way it should be.
Yeah. So basically, I'm a registered Republican. But so you're not going to get a phone call from Nancy Pelosi, right? Really upset that you just came on my podcast and we're talking.
No.
Right. But I think people think that. Like that's what that's what's portrayed out there, that, you're within this, realm of superior power of your party and you can't cross over. But you're saying not at
this level.
Yeah.
No. It's really about issues. It's not about
so
parties.
It's more about
the
people.
It is.
At that level.
We are the, we're the most accountable. I mean, people, I have gotten approached, I can't tell you how many times, in the grocery store by people who are either happy or upset about an issue. You are accountable. At the post office, whatever. You're living next door to the people that you're governing.
I gotta be honest with you. I would be so scared if I'm like at a grocery store and some angry person walks up to me. Like, how do you handle that? You ever had that situation?
I've definitely had
personal, private life, and someone just come out. What are you doing? Like,
it hasn't gotten to like a super aggressive, physically threatening level, but yes, I've had it numerous times, and there are times where you're out to dinner with your wife and you feel like, hey, I just want to have a few minutes off or whatever, but then you balance it by saying, hey, I get to be mayor of one of the most diverse, awesome cities in the world, right?
Can I speak about that for a second?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about this because this will show you how much I love Gaithersburg. All right, I went to Gaithersburg High School, and when I had good grades. I'm not gonna say I was smart. I just worked really hard, but I had good grades. So my dream was, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm Indian, so I was gonna be a doctor. Like that was like my thing. I'm gonna go become a doctor. I did not. But I had to study really hard because I wanted to get into Ivy League and all of that. And I couldn't get into Ivy League school. Like, I got waitlisted on a couple, but I had a rap sheet. I mean, my thing was I was a good student, right?
Yeah.
And then I had a couple of friends, very good friends, love them to death till this day, amazing people, African American, and their records were not as good as mine, but they did get in, and some of them even got full scholarships. And it was under this whole pretense of like, it was under the like equality and all of this. And I remember being really bitter about it, and because I'm so oblivious to racism, being brought up in the city, I had not seen it. I had not experienced it. I went to Gaithersburg High School. Everyone had the same exact opportunities. My closest friends were Black, were Spanish, were Asian, were Indian. Like, they're all the same people to me. So I was just super upset that we're so out of date with our politics and what's going on here. And I'm super upset. And then, ironically, the program I get into a full scholarship at UMBC at the Meyerhoff program, right? Which is a program created for minorities. And it was just, I got in and I went there, and my first summer, they make you do a boot camp. So I'm there, and it's like largely African Americans because it was created for minorities. And I'm there, and I'm a month on campus, and with like the first few days, I'm listening to these people. I'm listening to my cohorts talking about racism, talking about struggle, talking about inequality. And finally, a week into it, I just lost it. And I said, you guys, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but this is such BS. You keep blah, 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 blah. There is no such thing as this. And they're like, oh, child, sit down. And they start going into this stuff with me and telling me what like happened to them. I'm like, surely this is 30 years ago, right? They're like, this was like 3 weeks ago. And I was when I realized, I'm like, oh my God, I was raised and brought up in an environment where we just didn't have this. I mean, maybe at some level we do, but not at the level that people explained it.
We're in an amazing community.
Yeah, it is pretty powerful. And
I grew up in Miami, Florida, and Miami is a diverse city, and it's almost like as a white guy growing up in Miami, I was almost a minority. But if you were to ask me like, okay, where's the Haitian neighborhood in Miami? I could point to a place. If you say, where are Black neighborhoods in Miami? I could point to places, right? If you say, where do South Americans live? I could point to a place. But when it comes to Gaithersburg, everybody lives everywhere. Yeah. It's an amazing, amazing place.
That is cool. It was just a side note for anyone listening. I know we're talking a lot about Gaithersburg, and you're like, get over it, let's move on. But I just want you to understand that not every place in the country has the kinds of problems you hear federally. We just don't. I was so oblivious to it that I didn't understand it. Really cool. So one more thing I want to talk to you about is how do you become a mayor? What you kind of alluded to it, knocking door to door. What does it look like?
That's it.
Do you raise money? Do you campaign?
You do raise money, but it's not like in terms of magnitude, it's much smaller
Do
scale.
you have a bus with your face on it and it drives around the city?
Not on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. Like, tell me what kind of campaign, what kind of fundraising is it? How much money do mayors in the country raise to run? And
well, I can't. If you were running for mayor of DC, for example, you probably have to raise a few $1 million. But if you're running for mayor of Gaithersburg, if you raised $15,000, you're in great shape.
Are you serious?
Seriously, yeah. Because we're a relatively compact, geographically speaking, city.
Yeah.
The key to running for office is knocking on doors and making the personal appeal.
Oh.
It's not a natural thing to do either. Because do you like to have people just randomly knock on your door?
No.
Like nobody really wants that.
No. I don't know. The Ring app has made it so I do not open any doors.
Well, there you go. And the Ring app's probably going to make it more difficult to campaign. Although I love the Ring app.
Yeah.
But what you find is, in what I found in my first campaign, which actually made me fall in love with campaigning, was I forced myself to go knock on doors. I was dreading it, but I forced myself to do it. And I would go and, like, it's after work and you realize you're interrupting people's dinner, or you're waking up the baby, or you're making the dog go crazy, and they come to the door and they're skeptical of you immediately because they think you're trying to sell them something or convert them. And when you say, I'm running for city council or I'm running for mayor, you can see a change in their face. And it's like, all of a sudden you see they'll start to tell you something that's going well or something that's going poorly in their neighborhood, and you get a real sense of how much people really care about the world, about the community around them, and it's a gratifying experience. It really is.
Wow. So would you say, for the most part, so let's jump ahead. Let's jump like 10, 15 years ahead, and let's just say you're done with your reign over Gaithersburg, and I decide
I like that.
your reign over Gaithersburg. You got the gavel, man. I mean, I say your reign over Gaithersburg, and I decide I want to be mayor. Like I'd like to do this. Is it go through the council first? Like go run for city council?
Well, you don't have
first?
to.
But is that preferred?
It probably makes sense.
Do I need them on my side first?
It helps.
Okay.
It would help to have them.
It doesn't sound like there's a lot of like conspiracy and backstabbing. I'm looking for it. I'm like, I gotta rally the troops and get people behind me, and because that's what you see federally. So I'm like, oh.
In my first race, one of the council members ran against me. Okay. So there was, but we still got along pretty well. We still were able to get business done. These things happen.
Yeah. When are you running next?
Next is in 2021.
Oh, you'll be running in 2020? So when will
2021.
2021.
Our elections are in the off years.
Okay.
So we have one this year, but I'm not in it. It's 3 council members are up.
Got it. When do you start campaigning for something like that?
Probably mid-year 2021. So it's not a long campaign.
Like a few months? Yeah,
a few months. It's really like the intense part of the campaign is like 3 months. It's like end of August through November.
Got it. And how many doors would you say you knock on?
Probably 1,200, between 1,100 and 1,500 doors in that time.
Oof. Now, do you choose these regions based on kind of like voter data, like where most voters come from?
Yes.
So you are. Where do you get that kind of data from? Like, where do you get that?
The county board of elections has voter data.
They know.
Can see who's been you can't see who people voted for, but you can see who voted in an election.
Down to the person, or down to like
down
zip
to the
codes?
person.
Oh wow! So you can pinpoint like these are the addresses that I will go to.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
You have to do it.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's not a safe bet to try to get more people to turn out. It's a better bet to go after those who already usually turn out.
Yeah. My strategy, and I'm gonna regret saying this because my opponents will steal it immediately. But my strategy is to start with the active voters, people who have a history of voting in the city, and then if you have whatever time I have left, go for new voters.
Right. How many people usually run? Like, what's a common?
Well, the last time I ran unopposed, which
awesome.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe for me, maybe not for democracy, but it was beautiful.
Your reign continued because people are scared of you.
I wouldn't.
Do people disappear?
Am I a scary guy?
Do people disappear?
I'm looking right in the camera here. Am I scary?
I don't know. Maybe opponents have disappeared in the past, and no one wants to run against you.
Oh well, we're just gonna keep that on the down low.
Yeah, we'll delete this part of the podcast. campaign raising. So it's crazy that you said 15,000.
Yeah. So the big expenses are really like yard signs, which cost a lot to print, T-shirts for volunteers, and mailings. Those are the big ones.
So when you get these databases, I'm actually thinking about how I could help you. So I'm trying to think of strategies. Does it come with email addresses?
No.
So only addresses,
names and addresses.
We could still use that. We can build a custom audience for him on Facebook. Do you do any digital marketing to access people?
I do digital marketing, not in I haven't used Facebook ads for my election stuff yet.
Okay.
Maybe I did a little bit last time. No, I didn't, because I was unopposed. I didn't need to do it. But for the Gaithersburg, my pet project is the Gaithersburg Book Festival, and we do a lot with Facebook ads.
Yeah.
In fact, it's our main marketing push is through Facebook ads.
And before we end, I definitely want to talk about that. I'm so sorry that we didn't get a chance to talk about that, because that is so cool. So can someone just cut a check? Like if they're running, can they just cut themselves a donation of 20 grand?
Yes.
You can do that.
You can give yourself a check for 20 grand.
And use that towards campaigning.
You can.
Okay. What's the max someone else can do?
$500.
Wow. Okay. So if I just decide like I want this, I'm going to spend, I mean, I can blanket the city with Facebook ads or whatever and pay for it. Oh, good to know. I will definitely wait though. I like supporting.
Please wait.
You. Yeah, no, I have no interest right now. I can barely sleep. But this is really fun to see. Even if I wanted to be on the city council, or if someone wanted to be on the city council, same kind of rules apply.
Yeah.
Like, okay, very cool.
I would say you don't even need to raise as much for city council. If you raised 8,000, you'd be.
Do they campaign about the same? Same knock doors type thing?
Same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Man, I could keep going on about this for so long, and one day we will talk more about campaigning. I want to talk to you about you have championed and created this book fair.
Yeah.
And you tell us about that. It happens in Gaithersburg every year.
Yeah. And
this seems to be a project. I mean, I know you love it. It's like your
love
heart.
it. It's my pet project.
Yeah. So please tell us about that.
So each year, the flagship event is the third Saturday of May.
Okay.
We bring in some of the best authors on the planet to come speak about their work and sign books. So whatever genre you're interested in, history, mystery, children's, teen, young adult, whatever age, we have authors, we have conversations of interest that are going on at that festival that you're going to enjoy.
Yeah.
We have workshops for aspiring writers led by professionals in the industry, all free. We have children's activities, performances, readings, arts and crafts.
Is it one day? Is it a weekend?
It is one day.
One day. Wow.
So the next
all that in one day, huh?
Yeah. So the next one is the next flagship event is Saturday, May 16th.
Okay.
So put that on your calendars, everybody.
Yeah.
And you could find out everything about it at our website, Gaithersburg.bookfestival.org, which, by the way, is my business, my company's work. We couldn't charge for it because it's a city thing, but we donated that website. It's a great website.
Gaithersburgbookfestival.org. So cool.
Yeah. So there's a couple, but we're doing a couple ancillary events between now and the next book festival that you should know about. One is December 1st. We're bringing in a legendary children's author and illustrator. Her name is Jan Brett. She sold tens of millions of copies of her hand illustrated children's books, and she's got a new one coming out.
Wow.
And she's gonna talk about it and sign books there. And then next year we're doing one with an author who graduated from Gaithersburg High School. She's gone and lived. She's lived in New York for a long time now, but she went off to become a world famous author, and she is about to become a world famous author with a book that's coming out in January.
Wow.
The author's name is Janine Cummins, and the book is called American Dirt, and it is an immigrant story. It's a Mexican mother of an 8-year-old son. Their family, the mom and the son survive, but the rest of the family is assassinated by members of the cartel, and they have to spend the rest of the book trying to migrate to America to escape the clutches of the cartel.
Oh, wow.
And they take sort of the typical migrant trip, which this author did a lot of research on, and it is I've got an advanced copy. It's a fantastic book.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
awesome.
So we're going to do an event with her at Gaithersburg High School Auditorium on March 31st.
What class was she? Do you know?
I think
that?
like mid 90s.
Okay, so before me. Got it.
I definitely want you should go to that event.
Yeah, absolutely. So can they learn about these events at GaithersburgBookFestival.org?
Yes.
Okay.
The Jan Brett one is listed there. I have the Janine Cummins one is so new. We haven't even really announced it yet.
Awesome.
So you guys are getting a preview.
Awesome. Mayor, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for coming.
It's been a great pleasure.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. I hope to have you back. We can talk. Maybe we could talk some policy stuff one day and talk about what's going on. I think freaking the world's going crazy. So
sounds great. We can talk about politics, policy, whatever you want.
Yeah, glad to see Gaithersburg isn't, but the rest of the world seems to be losing their minds. Anywhere, any other URL, please tell us your business's URL. Where can people connect with you if they want to learn more about you?
Sure.
Tell us all the social media.
Yeah, my business's URL is webmobileimage.com.
Webmobileimage.com.
Yes, and my Twitter handle is @JuddAshman, JUDASHMAN.
All right, at Judd Ashman. You can find all of this at our website, anikpodcast.com, in the show notes, and we'll put all the links in there for you. Again, Mayor, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. It's super busy schedule, so I really am honored for the time that you gave us today, and just looking forward to doing more and more with the city and supporting you and everything that you do with the city. So thank you again.
Thank you. The pleasure's all mine.
Yeah, of course. All right, listen, come on, LURN.com, get in there, go sign up. Make sure you are a member of Lurn Nation, us entrepreneurs coming together, helping change the world. And again, also, if you're watching this on YouTube, click subscribe, leave a comment, click the thumbs up icon, click the bell icon. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, please make sure you subscribe and leave us a great review. It's been such an awesome Freedom Friday. We got a look into the life of a local city mayor. So we'll talk to you soon. As I always say, when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. Come on, go out there and fight for your dreams, fighting entrepreneurs. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.